Hello, my name is Neslihan Civelek. I'm an MA student in Çanakkale 18 Mart University. And I'm going to present my paper I have prepared for the lesson Avoiding Plagiarism. The title of the paper is Effective Classroom Management Techniques in Primary and Teachers' Perceptions. So I would like to start by explaining the aim of the paper. And the main aim of the paper is collecting information with respect to teachers' perspectives on classroom management and their practices. So, what the classroom management means to teachers and how do they implement these techniques in their classes. And actually, by bringing the suggested and valuable classroom management techniques together, this paper aims at guiding the teachers and contribute to the field. And so to manage these aims, the literature is reviewed and valuable information is tried to be brought together. The first part of the paper tries to explain why classroom management techniques are important. They are important because teachers can create a positive classroom environment by choosing correct classroom management techniques. They can efficiently engage students in the learning process and they can actualize educational purposes. So what about classroom management problems? What are counted as classroom management problems and uh, what about teachers' perceptions? So there are two kinds of classroom management problems that this paper focuses on. The first one is instructional problems, while the other one is behavioral problems. Instructional problems are related to seating arrangement, timing, conducting tasks and activities, or giving instructions, and while behavioral management problems are mostly about disrespectful behaviors towards the teacher or other students. It can be pushing and hitting another, or it can be not talking respectfully to the teacher. So these are behavioral management problems. So, Alice and Schwab state that besides sustaining order in the classroom management needs to create a positive environment, encouraging students in learning of academic, social, and emotional skills. A study on teachers' perceptions of classroom management in primary schools reveals that common concerns for teachers are linked to both instructional and behavioral problems. However, there are also some opposite views suggesting that classroom management is more like building strong relationships between teachers, students, and even parents. So actually, there are two kind of teachers we can say, according to this paper. One part of teachers focuses on instructional and behavioral problems at the same time, while the others think that the main concern is creating uh, successful relationships and strong relationships with the students. And it can be seen in the paper that problem behaviors, the behaviors defined as problem, the ones by teachers are the ones that negatively affect the flow of the lesson, disrupt the other students, and prevent the efficient use of time. So, what about the role of teachers in classroom management? Because they are the implementers of any kind of techniques, it's really important for teachers to be aware of their own roles in the process. So, teachers try to follow a positive approach to discipline and classroom management. From the previous studies, this can be seen. So, it's not only a, a matter of discipline right now. The teachers have got a more positive approach. And there is a need for creating social relationships with students, and teachers are supposed to be prepared beforehand as much as being enthusiastic about the lessons. So if teachers can be aware of these things, their implemented classroom management techniques will be more successful. And if teachers aim at taking successful steps in terms of classroom management, it's really important to be a good role model for the students by presenting the desired behaviors to them and supporting them for the good. So it can be exemplified like that. If teachers want their students to be respectful towards each other, then they should be respectful towards their students. If they want their students to be punctual, first of all, they should be punctual. What about the role of classroom management techniques in a class? So the study of types displays that adopted techniques should be balanced in both preventing problems and correcting them according to teachers' points of views. So Fowler and Schrapp reveal students' perceptions of classroom management, and they conclude that it's equally appreciated by students. If teachers know what students think about classroom management techniques, it will be easier for them to choose the right technique. So according to the study of Fowler and Schrapp, students want a safe classroom environment that they can share their ideas freely and they're not punished for any of their ideas. And they desire teachers to be respectful towards students, and they want to see enthusiastic teachers about teaching. And teachers need awareness of educative processes and educational psychology to establish successful management techniques based on universal values. So the role of classroom management techniques is really essential. And while deciding on this, teachers should think about both educative processes, educational psychology, as well as the universal values. And the next part focuses on classroom management techniques for dealing with different situations. It tries to present some suggestions to teachers that need support in classroom management. So it's claimed by McLeod et al. That if students feel they succeed in academic situations, they do not cause instructional or behavioral problems anymore. And they should create a positive environment for teaching and learning. They should help students feel comfortable by promoting the sense of success. And so here will be presented some certain techniques for dealing with instructional problems. So McLeod highlights that students need to have their own space so as not to feel restricted. The seating arrangement is better to be flexible for rearranging, and it should provide students with enough space to move around for group and pair works and diverse activities. And so Scrivener presents some seating arrangement ideas for teachers. And in the paper, these can be read in more detail. So to give some examples, I have shared these here, like semicircle, full circle, or U-shaped seats can be arranged. Rectangular, curved rows, or no tables can be used. And actually, Scrivener states that if a teacher wants to change the position of the tables and chairs and wants to arrange the classroom again, first of all, the teacher needs to think his or her aim. the type of the activity, and the seating arrangement should be made accordingly. And of course, while arranging the classroom, there can be a loss of time, or there can be so much noise. To prevent this, Scrivener presents some ideas again, some techniques actually. And so, uh, first of all, teacher can try to learn the students' ideas by asking them which seating arrangement is more comfortable them, which one feels more free to them. And then the teacher can give some certain organizational roles to volunteers, and while they arrange the classroom, the others can wait silently. Or to prevent loss of time and noise, the teachers can arrange it alone beforehand. So these are some techniques that are suggested for preventing loss of time and noise while arranging the seats. And also, there can be created some entry routines, especially with young learners. So if the teachers have a spatial greeting with his or her students, that can be a nice start for the class. Or the teachers can use traffic patterns. If there is a speaking activity, the teacher can have card in her or his hand to show students that it's speaking activity time. And these traffic patterns save time for these teachers and help them to tell things easily. I mean, help them to give instructions in a more easy way. And of course, group or pair work very well in classes, because there are diverse activities, and students are kept motivated. And of course, teachers should use various materials, because students have got various learning styles. So teachers should think about this and implement their lessons accordingly. So there are some other techniques for dealing with behavior problems suggested in the paper. And assertive iMessage is an example for this. If a student has got a behavioral problem, the teacher can use iMessage to explain student the situation, and without hurting his or her feelings. Or the teacher can use redirection technique. If as the student is, for example, if the student keeps talking with another student, then the teacher can want this student to make another thing, can give him or her a duty, and redirect him or her to another activity. And the timeout technique is used mostly for arguments, we can say. If there are two students arguing about something, first of all, the teacher should stop them and then give them time for calming down and relaxing. After that, the teacher should talk to them or take the next step. And setting rules and standards are so important, especially for young learner classes, because if students know what is expected from them, it will be easier for them to behave accordingly. And in young learner classes, the rules should be visualized, because in early age, students may not know how to read and they cannot read the rules. But if they just see the picture of it, it will be easier for them to obey the rules. And of course, when students need, teachers have to scaffold them. Teachers have to support them about the rules, about the rules of the classroom. And the next part focuses on reasons for a classroom management technique to fail. Teachers should be aware of these reasons, then they can prevent it. So Brooks says that if you deal with them in a reactive manner by acting out of emotions, taking the behaviors personally, and daring students to continue the behaviors, your approaches will be ineffective. I think this is the most important thing for the teachers. They shouldn't take anything personally, and they should be aware of these things that are explained in this sentence, so they will be more successful in implementing classroom management techniques. In addition to teacher behaviors, poorly designed lessons, unattractive materials, and ambiguous expectations have got negative effects on classroom management. So we can remember setting rules and standards technique, and it shouldn't be, it should be known that the instructional problems and behavioral problems, they are connected to each other. And teachers should observe their students' behaviors and consider their personality traits at the decision-making stage to be able to determine the correct technique to apply in the class. One technique can function in a class very well while fails in another. That's why teachers should be aware of their students' personal traits. And that's why they need to be knowledgeable about their students' learning styles. And the next part of the paper tries to explain how to apply appropriate techniques to class, because so far teachers are knowledgeable about some suggested techniques. They know how to decide on these techniques, but what about applying? Because technical knowledge and practicality is something different, and here the paper aims at giving some information about implementation stage. So knowing how to approach to problems in the classroom helps teachers to feel more confident. Otherwise, teachers' reactions may cause unintended results. And reactive behaviors do not take teachers to the solution. So the first step for teachers should be being calm and knowledgeable about this classroom management techniques. Teachers need to be a good observer, and they should build strong and supportive relationships with students, and they should be aware of the personalities of the students. They should be prepared for the instructional processes, and they should keep students active and give them the freedom to communicate their ideas. By this way, it will be easier for them to implement these appropriate techniques to the class. And so the paper tries to explain all of them in more detail, and lastly, as I explained, tries to give some ideas about implementation stage. I hope it's really helpful for you. And here are the references if you would like to learn more about classroom management techniques. Thank you for listening to me, and hope to see you again.